October 24th, 2016. Rich Fantastic with you. Got to give you the game picks from yesterday's, Sunday's games of Week 7. Was not able to do so. I was out. So I'm doing them right now for you. The first game was the New York Giants defeating the Los Angeles Rams 17-10. For the Giants, who were the road team, the game was in London. Eli Manning, 24 of 37, 196 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. The running game was not very good for the Giants. Rashad Jennings, 13 of 25. That's just under 2 yards per carry. He did have a touchdown. Perkins, 4 for 12. Altogether, the team 20 of 36, which is 1.8 yards per rush. And the touchdown by Rashad Jennings. Now, they did have a 2-yard carry, or a minus 2-yard carry twice by Eli Manning. 2 yards for minus 2 carries, minus 2 yards. So that hurt the numbers just a bit, but still, regardless, the running was not good. Victor Cruz, the top receiver, 5 for 55. Odell Beckham Jr., 5 for 49. Sterling Shepard, 5 for 32. Larry Donnell lost a fumble. The team had 3 sacks. Damon Harrison had one of them. Jason Pierre-Paul split one. Landon Collins had the big play in this game, 2 interceptions. He returned one of them, 45 yards for a touchdown. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie also intercepted 2 passes in the end zone, including the one to seal the game. Robbie Gould made the only field goal, replacing Josh Brown. For the Rams, Case Keenum, 32 of 53, 291 yards, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. We'll get into Case Keenum in just a bit. Todd Gurley continues to struggle this season. 15 carries, 57 yards, 3.8 yards per rush. Tavon Austin had a 10-yard rush. Altogether, even with that 10-yard rush, 20 for 74, 3.7 yards per rush. The Rams are simply not getting the job done in the running game, and you'd expect more with Todd Gurley. Quick, the top receiver, 4 catches, 92 yards. Tavon Austin, 10 for 57. He had a touchdown. Kendricks, 7 for 55. Kenny Britt held in check, 3 for 43, but that is 14 yards per reception. Keenum fumbled twice. He didn't lose any of them, so the turnovers didn't get as bad as they could have been, even though 4 interceptions is pretty horrific. Tavon Austin fumbled twice. He did not lose any of them. E.J. Gaines recovered a fumble. No sacks for that vaunted defensive line. Not vaunted, but a better than average defensive line for the Los Angeles Rams. Nothing of note in the return games. Greg Zuerlein made his only field goal. Now, the Giants, they have to figure some things out offensively. Obviously, the running game especially, but their offense has not necessarily looked good for most of the season. They had their moments last week against the Ravens, but altogether this game was won by the defense. Case Keenum, just terrible. Whenever you're relying on him to throw 53 times, you're asking for trouble, and they got it. The 2 interceptions in the end zone, brutal. Now, the last one, he was rushed. It was 4th down. He put it up in the air. May have been a miscommunication with the wide receiver. We would have to see, but all in all, you just can't have those plays when it comes, crunch time at the end of the game. 2 of them in the end zone, just not going to be enough to salvage anything in this one. So the Rams now dropped to 3 and 4. That is, Giants are now above 500 at 4 and 3, heading into the bye week. So everyone above 500 in the NFC East. The next game, the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the New Orleans Saints 27-21. For the visiting Saints, Drew Brees was good in this game, 37 of 48, 367 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Mark Ingram, 16 carries, 62 yards, just under 4 yards per carry. Tim Hightower, 5 for 39. The team ran the ball pretty well, 22 of 104, which is 4.7 yards per rush. Thomas had the top receiving game, 10 receptions, 130 yards. Willie Snead, 9 for 87. Brandon Cooks, 7 for 58. He had a touchdown. Mark Ingram and Coleman had touchdowns as well. Ingram lost a fumble. Kobe Fleener fumbled. It was not lost, and so did Lewis. The team did not have any sacks, no interceptions. Nothing of note in the return games, and no field goals. So really nothing at all as far as the special teams game goes for the New Orleans Saints. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs. Alex Smith, 17 of 24, 214 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. You've got to come to expect those type of games from Alex Smith. It's very efficient. Not many yards, a lot of the short passing game that we know Andy Reid loves to run. Spencer Ware, the top runner, 17 carries, 77 yards, 4.5 yards per rush. Hill, 2 for 23, 11.5 yards per rush to the team. 28 carries, 112 yards. That's 4 yards per carry exactly. Spencer Ware was also the top receiver, 2 for 54. He had a touchdown. Jeremy Maclin, 4 for 40. Hill, 1 for 38. He had a touchdown as well. Marcus Peters recovered a fumble. Sorensen is the one who had the interception, returned it for a touchdown. Big play in this game. Peters adding to his turnover or his takeaway total, just not with an interception in this one. Cairo Santos, 2 for 2 in his field goals. So Kansas City winning a very important game for them. You had a lesser New Orleans team coming to your building. You had to be able to take care of that, trying to keep pace with both the Broncos and the Raiders in that division. As for the Saints, they're not necessarily hurt too badly by this one because the Falcons lost. We'll get into that later. But they are really up against it in that division because they're just not that good defensively. It showed it in this one. They were pretty solid actually, but the inconsistency is really starting to show with New Orleans, and it's indicative of a team on the downslide because you got something from your offense, you got something from your defense, and your offense didn't deliver when it usually does, and you had that rough turnover by Drew Brees in this game that was returned for a touchdown, really the difference. The Indianapolis Colts winning a big game over the Tennessee Titans 34-26. Andrew Luck 27 of 39, 353 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Frank Gore, the top runner, 17 carries, 61 yards, 3.6 yards per rush. Andrew Luck was 5 for 17. The team altogether 24 of 81, 3.4 yards per rush. T.Y. Hilton a big game receiving. 7 catches, 133 yards, and a touchdown. That's just under 20 yards per carry. It's 19 yards per carry, a little over that. Doyle, 9 receptions, 78 yards. He had a touchdown. Frank Gore also had a touchdown receiving. Rasheed Mathis recovered a fumble. The team had 3 sacks. Jordan Tiedemann had a 31-yard kickoff return. And Adam Vinatieri, 2 for 2 in his field goals. Now the Tennessee Titans. Marcus Mariota, pretty good in this game. A few too many incompletions, but he was still above 50%. 22 of 37, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. DeMarco Murray, again, continues to have a very solid season thus far. 25 carries, 107 yards, 4.3 yards per rush, and a touchdown. Marcus Mariota, 2 for 14. The team altogether 28 of 124. That's 4.4 yards per rush. And the touchdown by DeMarco Murray. Delaney Walker, not surprising, the top wide receiver, the tight end for the Tennessee Titans. Marcus Mariota loves him. 7 of 84. 1 touchdown. Sharp, 4 for 59. Matthews, 4 for 37. Marcus Mariota, there's where the turnovers came in. 2 fumbles, he lost one of them. Something he's got to correct. Derek Morgan had 1.5 sacks. Carl Klug split that last sack of the 2 that they had. Ryan Suckup, 2 for 2 in his field goals. Tennessee, I thought they might be able to get this one. They've struggled at home this season, unable to come away with a victory against the reeling Colts team. Colts had to have this one in the division. No one's going to run away with that probably until the end of the year. We'll see what Houston does tonight. But certainly Tennessee really had a chance to make things happen with this one, and Indianapolis keeping themselves alive. Only gave up 2 sacks in this game, and one of them was a split sack, so the offensive line doing what it needed to do in this one. The Philadelphia Eagles handed the Vikings their first loss of the season with a 21-10 victory for the visiting Vikings. Sam Bradford, one of his poorer games, 24 of 41, 224 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Matt Asiata running the ball, 12 carries, 55 yards. That's a 4.6 yard per rush average. Jerick McKinnon, 11 of 43, 3.9. I'm a little surprised by that because of how fast he is. Cordero Patterson, top receiver, 7 of 67, 1 touchdown. Kyle Rudolph, 5 for 55. Thielen, 2 for 52. Matt Asiata carried a load coming out of the backfield receiving-wise, 6 of 25. Sam Bradford lost 2 fumbles. Can't have that to go with the interception he had. He fumbled 4 times as well. Lost 2 of them, as we just said. Marcus Sherrills lost a fumble. Harrison Smith and Anthony Barr both recovered fumbles. No sacks for the Vikings. Give the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line credit. Andrew Sandejo and Xavier Rhodes both had interceptions. Blair Walsh made his only field goal. For the Philadelphia Eagles, Carson Wentz, 16 of 28, 138 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Rashad Matthews, 14 of 56 running the ball. Darren Sproles, 3 of 26. That's 4 yards and 8.7 yards, respectively. The team altogether 26 of 101 running, just under 4 yards per rush. Huff, the top receiver, 4 for 39. Matthews, 1 for 27. Darren Sproles, 2 for 23. Carson Wentz fumbled 3 times, lost one of them, so he was turning the ball over as well. Matthews lost a fumble, his only one. Jenkins, Allen, and Burton all recovered fumbles. 6 sacks for the Eagles, none of them by Fletcher Cox. However, I'm not even sure if Fletcher Cox. No, he did play in this game. McLeod had an interception. Huff returned a touchdown, 98 yards. Returned a kick, 98 yards for a touchdown. Caleb Sturgis 2 for 2 in his field goals. So, a lot to really go into with this game. Sam Bradford under pressure, and we saw the bad Sam Bradford in this game. Carson Wentz was not much better. He was not getting the ball downfield. He had his turnovers in this one. So, it was really just that kick return for a touchdown that made the difference. That big play really sparked the Philadelphia Eagles. The Minnesota Vikings, you got to make sure you keep Sam Bradford protected. I'm sure they'll work on that. We'll see if that develops going forward the rest of the year. As for the Philadelphia Eagles, they got the win. And of course, Minnesota was coming out of the bye week. That may have had something to do with it. But the Eagles, hey, they got the win. But Carson Wentz, he's starting to turn the ball over a little more, maybe seeing things that he has not yet seen. So that is something that we're going to have to keep an eye on going forward. The Cincinnati Bengals continue to add to the Cleveland Browns' misery thus far this season. The Browns now dropped to 0-7. For Cleveland, I guess Cody Kessler was knocked out of this game. He was 9 of 11 for 82 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Hogan came in, whoever that is, 12 of 24, 100 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He was their top rusher, 7 carries, 104 yards. I don't know if he is a quarterback or what the deal is. It's just gotten that bad with Cleveland. 14.9 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Isaiah Crowell, 12 for 63, 5.3 yards per rush, 1 touchdown. Altogether, the team 26 of 180, 2 touchdowns. That's a 6.9 yards per rush. Cleveland's actually ran the ball pretty well this year, so I don't know why they're this bad. Gary Barnidge, top receiver, 6 for 66. Johnson, 1 for 21. Andrew Hawkins, 2 for 19. Pastor recovered a fumble. They did have 3 sacks in this game. One of them was a split sack. Cody Parkey made his only field goal for the Cincinnati Bengals. Andy Dalton, 19 of 28, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Jeremy Hill, 9 carries, 168 yards. That's 18.7 yards per carry. Very good. A touchdown. Giovanni Bernard, 17 for 80. And this is why the Browns lost the game. And Rex Burkhead, 4 for 23. All of them over 4.5 yards per carry. Altogether, 30 for 271. 9 touchdowns and the 2 interceptions. A.J. Green, 8 receptions, 169 yards, 21.1 yards per reception. He did have a Hail Mary caught for a touchdown. Brandon LaFell, 4 for 83, 20.8 yards per reception. He also had a touchdown. So Cincinnati was getting serious yards throughout this game. Williams lost a fumble. Erickson fumbled. It was not lost. Carlos Dunlap had one of the 2 sacks. Williams and Vincent Ray both had interceptions. And Mike Nugent was only 1 for 3 in his field goals. That's something we'll have to keep an eye on going forward, is Mike Nugent and his field goal kicking. Now, Cleveland, what can you say? It's just going bad to worse. We'll see when they get the wins. I would have to check the schedule. Probably go into it when I go into the game previews coming up. For the Cincinnati Bengals, had to have this win with Pittsburgh losing, which we'll get into later. That certainly keeps them going in this division. So not too far out at all. And we'll see if they can build some momentum off of this one. They got some things going in the running game that had been an issue for them this season. And they were able to pass the ball and get A.J. Green involved. Granted, one of them was on a Hail Mary. Let's see how that continues to develop moving forward for the Bengals. All right, so we will give you part 2 of the game recaps coming up in just a little bit. Be sure to stay tuned for that. Thank you.